Now, I'm curious as far as on the growth side of the business in, let's say, this year, 2024,
Yeah.
where the market's predicting, a slight cap less, maybe 10% less than last year. Different folks have it at different things. But the reality is there's not going to be quite as much business out there this year as there was in the years in the past. Now, I say that with a grain of salt because when you really look at it, the market was up so much that when it comes down 10%, it's still sitting significantly higher than it would if the trend was normal without the COVID years and the couple years after. So, I believe that there's a lot of great business out there, and I think great companies that have a great foundation will continue to see double-digit growth. People that don't have good foundations potentially could see double-digit, backsets. What do you see in the market, and how can leaders ensure their companies continue to grow with these conditions?
Yeah, great question. What you just described is, certainly during COVID, we all thought when COVID came, what's going to happen? Is the business going to end? And obviously it did not.
No.
Demand was off the charts, couldn't keep up, couldn't get employees, couldn't get products. It was really something. Well, things have normalized now. That's the word I like to use for it.
Yeah.
And things are pretty much back to normal. But you're absolutely right, Greg. When you look at right before COVID or during COVID, the pie was this big, and the amount of money spent on remodeling and renovation and so forth. Since then, leads are down a little bit. But guess what? And you mentioned it. The pie now is bigger, because we have had that growth. So we still got tremendous opportunity. But I think what companies really need to focus on now, and I see a lot of them doing just this, is they're focusing on efficiency. They really are. Getting the absolute most out of the leads they do get. Because when we were with COVID, when things were going on with COVID, I saw a lot of companies get a little bit lazy, and maybe not do things as well as they possibly could because things were so easy. They had so many leads. In fact, I saw some statistics recently from a control group of about 12, 1,300 home improvement companies of all sizes. And back when COVID was going on, prior COVID, the conversion rate from raw inquiries to installed jobs was about 15.4%. Then we went through COVID, leads were through the roof and so forth. And guess what happened to the conversion rate? It went down to about 12%. Crazy, because we had too much. So I think what companies really need to do right now, I like to call it focus on the full funnel marketing. In other words, every aspect of the marketing funnel has to be paid attention to. So let's describe that to people if we can for a second. The marketing funnel really consists of raw inquiries coming into the business. Once we get those, we've got to get them set to solid appointments. That's step one. Once we get appointments set, then we got to get these leads issued to salespeople. Oftentimes that involves a confirmation process, things such as that. And once leads are issued, then we got to get as many leads as possible demoed, because not all leads issued are demoed. And once leads are demoed, how can we close as many as possible? So that's the next step in the marketing funnel. And that is really what everybody has to focus on, is all those steps. See, too many companies think the key to success is one of two things: generating more leads or increasing closing ratios. And those two are very important. But there's some steps in the middle that if you don't have shored up, like converting inquiries to appointments with the right scripting and all that kind of stuff, you are losing so much. And right now, what the going rate is for our industry, and I mentioned it earlier, from inquiries to installed jobs, about 12.4% of inquiries are turning into installed jobs industry-wide. Now, of course, that'll vary depending on how a particular company is generating leads, but that's kind of an industry average. So our job is to do everything we can throughout the marketing funnel with all these metrics, from generating leads, turning to appointments, to issued, to demo, to sold. Let's impact those metrics a little bit. In fact, let's get 10% better at every one of those phases of the marketing process. And something amazing happens, Greg, and I've been talking about this for years. If you just get 10% better, which everyone can achieve at every one of those phases of the marketing funnel, your business grows by 61%, not
Wow.
10%. Crazy because they compound against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to generate twice as many leads to double your business or increase your closing ratio by 2 times. So that's what people really need to focus on is getting efficient with the whole marketing funnel. Get everybody trained up to do the best job they can.
Yeah, it's so important. Like right now, I feel like what companies are doing is they're sort of looking at their business differently right now. Um, let's just call it reorganizing, right? Let's call it they've had the Great Recession. We've had all this different stuff. I think companies are really looking to reorganize their business and their process while implementing technology um, and to be more efficient.